bad position, right? Small things like that you realize aren't so small, and sometimes they're really loud and in your face. And the fact that I don't experience that, he's used to that shit. He's used to that every day. And so he didn't like, it wasn't new news to him, right? For me, it was like, what the fuck? And so little small stuff like that. In the work space the field I work in with kids, underserved youth, they actually check my privilege, or kind of remind me of my privilege, even when they don't even try to. Health insurance is a big one, if you have health insurance or not. Homelessness is a big one. The fact that these young girls, and honestly, it just breaks my heart that these young girls had to they had really tough choices. And it was like how you were saying, like the fact that we have, even though it's really fucking hard to be a first generation college student, the fact that we get to do that is actually some part of a privilege, because there are these girls that are 13, 14 years old, and they are, I don't want to say it's voluntary prostitution, but it's in a sense, because they have no other choice and no other resources, they essentially prostitute themselves. And, you know, they are basically selling their bodies. And at such a young age, that's the standard. They see like, oh, this is all I'm able to do. Like, this is all I'm useful for. And so they enter our facility. And so it's like that's a lot. And that hits home for me, because I'm like, wow, like, it's crazy. And so things like that. Socioeconomic, for me, was not that way. The same as you were saying, middle class family, only because we were broke a lot for the majority of my childhood, especially when 2008 hit. Man, we were like, my mom made rice, and I don't know how she did it. She, honestly, I would clap my hands for her. Like, I applaud her, because she made, I don't know, and how you were saying, they struggle and they don't even show it. And meanwhile, I'm over here like just school and taking care of plants and myself, and I'm struggling. Like, you go into your mental crisis moments. And the fact that they were raising 4 kids, feeding 5 mouths and making ends meet, trying to stretch out beans and rice for the whole week, damn near a whole month. It was like, wow. But as a kid, you don't even realize you're poor until you go to a sleepover at a friend's house and you're like, oh, y'all live like this. Okay, y'all comfortable. And so little stuff like that for me, acknowledging those type of privileges. But it is, like I said, when you come across white people specifically, and I had moments where I was like, we can't even relate. Y'all are live in a whole different world, and your ignorance is insulting to me, right? And a lot of BIPOC folks can relate to that. And so I feel like that's why we needed an episode like this, is to talk about how multifaceted it is again, because you can be white and be an ally and not even try to, or maybe you grew up poor and you're white, but it's, again, the fact that you are white, you benefit from a lot of opportunities. They're just handed to you just because. And if we were to walk in and I had a Black name or an indigenous name or, whatever, they feel like you don't qualify for, let's say, a job or to buy a house, situations like that. Like my little brother tried getting a job and he didn't get hired, and just like little things like that just make you kind of, how do you say, you like don't want to pull the race card, and then sometimes you're just like, but is it? And so you don't know, and then you just like, at the end of the day, you just shrug your shoulders and you're like, it is what it is, I'll apply somewhere else, right? So sorry, I went on a little tangent. But another question I have for y'all is, how do you maneuver through your privilege? Like, how do you use it for the good, and when it's rightfully so, but how do you maneuver through your privilege, and how do you call yourself out, essentially, where you're like, that's for either one of you can answer.
I'm like, Lani, do you have something? Yeah, I mean, I can answer if you want me to.
Go ahead, and then I'll answer after.
Oh, geez. Okay. So, how do I maneuver through my privilege? Um, so Anita knows, like, I took a Black feminism class, like, in a couple years ago, like 2, 3, right, smack dab right before the pandemic. That's what I'm saying.
Like 2 years
So,
ago.
yeah. So, I took a Black feminism class. Um, she had, I forgot what the book was, but I definitely know it's by Kimberly Crenshaw. We're gonna figure it out before the end of this podcast for sure.
The Color Purple
Kimberly Crenshaw?
is. Oh, just kidding. That's Alice Walker. What? That's so embarrassing.
You can edit that part out.
I'm sorry. No, it's okay. That's funny. I'm sorry, Alice Walker. Damn it. Ah.
We're gonna
read
that.
If you can't think of it, we'll just put it in our summary for folks to. Oh my God, there's a ghost in my room. A summary for. No, it just does that.
Damn it.
And
okay,
when you come across it,
I'm gonna figure it out in like 10 seconds after I get done yapping my mouth. But whatchamacallit, yeah, so I took the class at CSULA. We read a specific book by Kimberly Crenshaw. And so she had like a piece where she specifically wanted us to like break down as a society our the privilege pyramid. And so of course it was like white was at the top, and then there was Asian as second, and then it was Hispanic or Latinx, and then it was Black. And then when she said there was another one, I was like, what's the other one? I was like, there's one at the bottom of that? And she's like,
Native?
yeah. Native, yeah. That's the very last one. And that's when she burst in my bubble. I said, dang. I was like, oh, well, because I'm so used to, I'm very much used to like that being the last answer. Like, you know, like I'm always used to being like, not last, but last. Like, you know, because for me, I've always been a person where I would never want to let who I was born as, you know, get in the way of what I'm trying to do. I believe ever since I was a little kid, and that's why I had brought up earlier that, you know, when I was little, I was a proud little Black girl. I knew I was from the hood. I knew I was raised by a single Black mom. I knew, you know, things would look harder for me. I knew that already. You know, that's not a hard thing to kind of adjust to when it's with something you're born into, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches and understand. But I was still proud of my journey because I knew where I was at with everything. First of all, my mom was badass. So I knew the support I had from family was going to carry me through to get to even where I'm at right now. So I always had the mindset of, I don't care how low the bar is, I'm jumping above it, you know? And that wasn't easy. I always had a reminder that I was Black. I always had a reminder that I was even a woman.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like I always had someone to remind me of those things because of who I was or what I look like. Mm-hmm. And so when she cracked my bubble, I was like, dang. And you know what? I actually did find out I do have indigenous roots through my family too, that I've been trying to track down and even just find more information about for myself. And so, you know, that put me in a mindset, well, now I'm back at the bottom. So, you know, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I believe, like, you know, people make this pyramid, you know, of course, that because we have to have an understanding of what exactly we are being put up against. So even when I say it like that, I don't even mean like, oh, well, I'm back here. Like, no, because I've always been content with the fact that a lot of the world does not like me or my history. Who gives a heck? You know, I don't care. I love myself and I love my history. I want to dive deep into that. There's something very just intriguing and precious about finding hidden cultures, because unfortunately, the indigenous culture, there's not a lot of it to be found because of what has happened on this land for them, and I find I just find it intriguing to really dive deep into that, and to figure out like just that rabbit hole of that journey of for myself of my own historic roots, trying to figure out who all am I, why is this below the barrel? Of course, we know why, but like just figuring out like more than history books about why it happened, what is left off from my culture.
Yeah. Because go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about
you're good.
No, go ahead.
You're the guest. Go.
Yeah, like I would just saying like I find it just really just intriguing to really like dive just deep into that. Like I've never been a history book person. I've never been a person where I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna believe what this textbook says, because there's always felt, I think it's more of like some people, they say like certain roots can trigger certain things from your ancestors to know certain stuff, and I've always believed that I've always had like a spiritual gift of just kind of be having like a top tier intuition with a lot of stuff. And I didn't know that until I got older and realized like, wow, I should really start trusting my mindset more. But when I was younger, I always looked at the history books and I just used to be like, bro, there has to be more than what I'm reading. Like, like a lot of people I knew really were content and was like, okay, well, Black people had slavery. That's it. And I'm like, well, we were inventors. We made pens. We made monuments. We created a lot of stuff. Like, we went through a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff they cannot even put in the textbook because it's so gruesome. And so I can only imagine if I was to dive deep into other spaces, how much I would even realize how even me being a Black woman right now at this second with indigenous roots, how I'm still privileged from what my ancestors had to go through in order for me to be who I am right now, and that's why I said, like there's beauty kind of just at being at the bottom, because there's more history to discover. It's so much more to like humble you, but also to figure out what was done before I could even get here. There's a beauty back at that. So I don't mind going back to the bottom and recognizing like, yeah, I'm here, but I still have my privilege, because what privilege is to another person, I feel like to me now growing up and being a proud woman is a little different. Like I think like my culture is bomb. I love my food. I love my dances. I love my praise. I love the glory. I love that the culture that is instilled in me, even though people hate probably how I celebrate that, I don't care. Like there's beauty in being at the bottom of things that they're not going to be able to see. When I think about white culture, I don't think about much personally. I can't find much other than what colonialism is personally, because that's all they teach you, which is weird. They're my teachers and they're teaching me about my torture. Like,
it doesn't make any sense.
Something else.
Yeah.
So, how I maneuver in that, essentially, just to bring it back to the question, is I find beauty in the struggle. And that's kind of why I am where I am today with my life and where I am career-wise within the mindset I have is, I'm not a talker too much. I love to talk, don't get me wrong, but I'm not too much of a person where I will sit and allow my words to be the most of who I am. I'm going to put action towards that. And so if that means that if I know that there are plenty of people before COVID, for instance, that have lost jobs, a lot of money, fell out with families, living on the streets, I'm going to go make an event where I'm like, well, I have some resources. I'm not the richest person in the world, and that's totally fine, but I'm going to go make something where I can go ahead and donate or get my community to see the bigger picture and how we can bring our privileged butts to go and donate to these people to make sure that they're okay. Because although, yeah, everyone struggles, that's still a privilege to even have a $5 or $1 to spare to somebody. Some people only got a couple of cents. And to them, how I said, like, going back to the bottom, some people look at that as the bottom.